Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alright, I'm making this video because I investigate paranormal. I also research. I'm a Muslim. Um, I've caught undeniable proof at the Conjuring House where a voice, clear as day, says, "I can hear you." And you can see it on my channel. You can hear it plain as day. There's nobody around me. It's me holding a recording device by myself, so I know that there's something there. Now, this is what I want to say is that there is entities, interdimensional entities. I call them jinn or whatever, but they're not human spirits past. And those who believe in God, this will make more sense, and maybe this is more towards them. When if a child spirit, if you contact the child spirit, say you're in an abandoned asylum, and there's a child spirit, who put that child spirit there, and why that one child spirit? And if you believe in God, what kind of merciful, loving God will put that child to roam aimlessly until the end of the world in a abandoned asylum alone? So why that one child? It's either God chooses a child, or all the children would be spirits. And why there? Okay. Um, why do they inhabit abandoned places, cemeteries? Um, there's places where there wasn't even deaths, and yet they've been abandoned and condemned, and then they become haunted. Now, if you read about the jinn, these aren't new stories. The jinn, that thousands of years ago, it's not just an Islamic thing. This has been in ancient Arab uh, texts and whatnot about the jinn. Um, there's the shaitan, the ghouls, the mimics, whatever. Now, the, usually when they see a child spirit or whatever, it ends up being a demon. And now just think about it. It's either every child becomes a spirit or none. Because why would God choose this one innocent child to be alone without family, having to see their family, and they're alone, and that's misery, that's hell, that's totally unfair. So I do not believe that these are human spirits. And you gotta understand, Judgment Day has not happened. So nobody's in heaven or hell. You gotta understand that. Like, how can we say, oh, they're in heaven right now? No, they're not. They haven't been judged. We have not been judged. Judgment Day has not happened. They're in a deep sleep somewhere. Now, can I say what happens to their spirit? I have no idea. They could be in limbo somewhere. I don't know. But they, you gotta understand and try to really do some logical thinking, especially as a God-fearing person, that God, it makes no sense for God to take a human being, especially a child or an innocent elderly person, or somebody just innocent, whatever, who passes on, and then makes them have to watch their family, and then generation upon generation upon generation as a spirit, and and not be able to interact with them or whatever. And if you ever, there's this thing called the Scole experiment. Look that up. SCOLE. They do an experiment where there's some pretty convincing evidence of definitely what they thought was the afterlife. But what they did was they started catching on, saying maybe these things are lying to us. So what did they do? They created a persona, a person, a name, a person. I forgot what his name was, but they drew a picture of what he looked like. They said when he was born, his death date, what he did for a living, um, he had a wife, his kids' names, um, everything you can think of that would define a person, right? And they tried to contact him, and guess what? They contacted him, but who did they contact? This person didn't exist. They created him, and yet this person came through. So it shows right there, this thing was lying to them because it wasn't a real person, and yet it came through as if it was a real person. Now, the jinn, demons, whatever, they want you to not believe in God, and if you're willing to believe more in ghosts as human spirits, and that your uh, dead relative is willing to help you, and they're gonna and that's who you go to for help. Now you're not going to God for help; you're going to them. You know. So, or look at the UFO thing. The more people believe in UFOs, the more people see UFOs. You know, the more people believe that UFOs exist, the more they seem to manifest. You know.